absolutely not polluted. Certain stages still has some pollution. He was talking of some figure. So could you tell us that when we say that a river is clean or something, what is the parameters? How do we measure, let's say, a quality of water or whatever, a cleanliness of the river?
It's very important when we say, what do we mean by we have clean river or we have regenerated river? So it's very, now from a public's perception point of view is what we have to see. When people will say that the river is clean, we may be giving lots of parameters or whatever. So I think in my way of looking at it, based on whatever discussions that I had with large number of people, I think our objective is to make sure that every river stretch, indigenous aquatic life and the riparian life returns or sustains. That is the real test for all the program. And I think when Ashokji mentioned about it, we are very happy to share that also, that in many places this really has improved. And that is why we are not just saying on the basis of water quality, but we are actually saying that the biota in the river has improved. So that is, but we have to now spread that almost to each and every tributary of the river. Now, that is a very larger objective. But when we talk about cleanliness of the river, ultimately it boils down to whether the water is clean or not. Okay. But I think clean water, English word doesn't explain that much as Nirmalta explains. Yes. Okay. And Nirmalta actually means we are not talking about drinking water. We are not talking about water which is useful for human beings. What we are talking about, Nirmalta, means that the aquatic life and the riparian vegetation which is indigenous to that particular place, the water quality is such that it is acceptable to them. So it is from that point of view. And the very first parameter that comes to our mind is the dissolved oxygen level. And I also would like to make it very simple rather than making it very complicated. I think somewhere we have in mind that pollution is the one which is, dominantly affecting the river. But from the river's perspective, for aquatic life, the most important thing is the dissolved oxygen. And this is what I have been saying, that if you monitor dissolved oxygen levels in the river, many things are taken care of. So from river's perspective, I will say it is the dissolved oxygen level. What we have to do it, we have to increase the frequency and the density of monitoring, and also involve as many stakeholders as possible in that monitoring. So make it simple, make it only one or two parameters, very simple parameters, rather than going for very complicated thing. And I think dissolved oxygen is one thing. And maybe to add that, we can add a very simple parameters which locally can be measured, like pH, conductivity, and that will give a reasonably good idea about how the water quality is from the perspective of indigenous this thing, and involve as many stakeholders as possible. And we are now looking at how people who are on the river side can be engaged in such kind of monitoring, so that will also empower them. They will also feel good that yes, we are monitoring our own resources. I think that's the way we have to view. So in the first round, this is what I would like to say. When we say cleanliness, cleanly means the indigenous aquatic and riparian life returns. And for that, water quality should be commensurate according to that. And very simple parameters like dissolved oxygen, pH, conductivity can be easily measured. Frequency has to be increased. The density of measurement has to be increased. And those who are measuring, they should also be diverse kind of people, not limited to only few agencies or few institutions. So how we can have a network of many stakeholders engaged in monitoring, that what should be our next goal. And then we can move